Hi, my name is Neil Hermes and welcome to my guide on how to pick your first pair of binoculars to go birdwatching. Selecting a pair of binoculars, if you've not chosen one before, can sometimes seem a little confusing. There seems to be so much information, so much marketing, and more importantly, so many different numbers involved in the various types of binoculars you look at. Let me tell you, there's only 5 things you need to know to buy your first pair of birdwatching binoculars. 5 things. And we'll go through them in this guide. The first thing that you need to look at is the magnification of the binoculars. The second one is the amount of light coming into the pair of binoculars. The third is the field of view. And these are the numbers that are written on the binocular. The other factors are the comfort and the price. These are the 5 things we need to consider. So let's go through those 5 things. The first thing that you need to think about when you're buying a pair of binoculars is the magnification that you want to be able to look at the bird with. With our normal eyesight, we can see things at a distance, but it's hugely advantageous for us to enlarge the view so we can see more clearly. We can do this with a pair of binoculars, and the number at the beginning of the sequence on the binoculars, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, is the magnification that you're looking at when you're seeing the bird in your view. This is important because this is the advantage you get from using the binoculars. The bigger the number, the larger the pair of binoculars becomes. So it's not necessarily the biggest that you can get that is what you're after. And typically a binocular in the range of about 7 or 8 is very good for a first pair of binoculars. So that's the magnification. The second number on the binocular refers to the amount of light that comes into the binoculars. It's to do with the size of the lens at the front of the binocular. So the larger the lens at the front, the more light that comes in, and the more likely you are to be able to see it in dark conditions. So for example, if you're looking at a bird in a dark forest, you need to have a reasonably large amount of light coming in to be able to see the bird. Whereas if you're in a wetland, that's not as important. So typically with a pair of binoculars that you're using for bird watching and your first pair of binoculars, an optical lens size of around 40 to 50 is probably about ideal for your first pair. So that's the second number that's on the binocular. The third factor that we need to look at is the field of view. This is not to do with the magnification because we already know that's 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. This is how wide a view you're getting of the scene. If you're not used to using a pair of binoculars, it's sometimes difficult to locate a fast-moving bird because the field of view that you're seeing is fairly narrow. What you want, and the preference is in a first pair of binoculars, to have the field of view as wide as possible. And this is the third number that's written on the binocular. So you'll have 7, which is the magnification, 50, which is the amount of light, and then 5.5 degrees or 6 degrees or 7 degrees, which is the field of view. These are the 3 important numbers to look for, and the wider the field of view for a beginner, the better your opportunity for bird watching. The last 2 factors I'd like to talk about are comfort and price. Now, comfort really is just about how it feels in the hand. There's no point in having a pair of binoculars that you feel is awkward, either in terms of weight, if you're carrying it around all day, or in terms of the size of your hands. You need to have a pair of binoculars that are comfortable for you to manage. These binoculars are pretty ideal for me. I have large hands and I find these very comfortable in the field. You may find that a smaller pair of binoculars suits your preference, but this is really a personal thing and to do with comfort. The last thing, of course, is price. Now, like many things, the better the quality of the lens, the better the quality of the manufacturer, the higher the price you're going to pay. For a pair of binoculars that you're using for bird watching as a startup, you're probably looking at a pair of binoculars at about $150 to say $300, which will give you a good pair of binoculars that will be versatile and usable in many conditions. Once you're used to using a pair of binoculars, you may want to then get a more expensive pair, and then you can be looking at a whole range of more expensive binoculars. So don't forget, once you've selected a pair of binoculars and you've got it, come onto my YouTube channel or come onto my website and have a look at my guide, which is how to use your first pair of birdwatching binoculars. Thank you.